Have you ever found yourself scrolling, then you look up and realize an hour has just vanished into this blur of kind of meaningless videos? If that sounds familiar, well, you might have experienced a feeling that now, officially, has a name. And it's a name that's raising some pretty serious questions about our digital lives.
Okay, if those words sound like a totally foreign language, you are definitely not alone. But for millions of people, especially the youngest generations online, this is basically the dialect of the internet. It's the language of a phenomenon that a lot of people are now calling brain rot.
And look, this isn't just some obscure slang term anymore. In a move that, frankly, surprised a lot of us, Oxford University Press just named brain rot its official 2024 Word of the Year. It's a term that just perfectly captures this widespread anxiety we all feel about the endless stream of low-quality, kind of trivial content we're all consuming every single day.
So what kind of content are we actually talking about when we say brain rot? What does it really look like out in the wild?
Well, it's a really wide spectrum. You've got sludge content, you know what I'm talking about, those bizarre split-screen videos with a podcast on one side and maybe a video game on the other, designed specifically to hijack your attention. Then there's AI-generated slop, surreal memes, and this intentionally unsettling aesthetic known as weirdcore, which creates these images meant to feel both familiar and deeply, deeply uncomfortable. The common thread in all of this? It's all engineered for maximum engagement, often at the lowest possible cost.
But here's the thing. This fear, this panic that our media is turning our brains to mush, it is so much older than TikTok. It's much, much older than even the internet itself.
The journey of this term is it's fascinating. It started way back as a philosophical complaint in the 19th century, popped up again in the early days of social media to describe, reality TV, and has now absolutely exploded into the definitive slang for our current digital age. I mean, just think about that for a second. Over 170 years ago, Thoreau was already worried about a decline in intellectual standards. He was comparing trivial ideas to a famine that devastated Europe, which just goes to show you that every single generation has its own anxieties about the media it consumes.
So, while the fear might be old, the technology driving it is brand new, and it is always on. Let's take a look at what modern science is saying about how our brains are actually handling this constant digital flood.
A huge review of recent research actually identified two key digital behaviors. First, there's doom scrolling, where we're actively seeking out negative info. But then there's zombie scrolling, and that's the one I think a lot of us can relate to. It's that passive consumption where it feels like your brain is just in neutral, driven by this simple dopamine loop that keeps you hooked on the next swipe, hoping for a reward, even if the content itself is totally meaningless.
And you better believe researchers are paying attention. A rapid review of 35 recent studies shows a really heavy focus on digital addiction and excessive screen time. I mean, these are the very concepts people are talking about when they use a term like brain rot.
And the impact? Oh, it's measurable. Studies are linking this overconsumption to very real cognitive effects. Things like emotional desensitization, where we just start to feel less. Impaired executive functions, making it harder to remember things or plan ahead. And probably no surprise here, shortened attention spans. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and move to the human side of this, because this all builds into a massive debate. Is this a unique crisis for today's youth, or has every single generation accused the next of having brain rot?
A lot of people argue that this is just history repeating itself. As this Reddit user points out, Gen X had these bizarre cartoons that parents absolutely hated. Millennials had reality TV and those early, totally nonsensical viral videos like Charlie the Unicorn or Llamas with Hats.
But the counterargument is that today's content is fundamentally different. It's not just stupid and funny made by people for other people. It's often algorithmically generated. It's infinitely available. And, like this user says, it's designed with a single economic purpose: to exploit their attention spans for a quick buck. The scale and the profit motive have totally changed the game. Which really brings us to a fundamental question, doesn't it? Is this a genuine new crisis? Or is this just the latest chapter in a long, long history of older generations being completely baffled and worried by what young people find entertaining? So, faced with this constant fire hose of algorithmically driven content, what can we actually do about it? Well, the research offers some clear, actionable strategies to start pushing back. It really all boils down to being more intentional with our attention. These 4 steps, which are suggested by mental health organizations and researchers, can help restore a sense of cognitive balance. It's about setting boundaries, actively curating your feeds,
engaging in hobbies offline, and building real-world social connections. And let's be super clear here. This isn't about throwing your phone in the ocean. It's about building healthier digital habits and consciously taking back control of your time and your focus from the algorithms that were designed to capture it in the first place.
Ultimately, that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought. Is this phenomenon a true sign of our minds deteriorating under all this digital pressure, or is it a strange, new, and maybe even necessary way we're learning to cope with a digital world that simply never, ever stops?